What do you know? It's another Taco Tuesday, but with whiskey instead. So thanks everybody for joining tonight. Greatly appreciate it. So looking forward to a good little chat and some sipping on whiskeys and stuff. I probably should have taken some Z-biotics considering I've got all this stuff right here in front of me. So anyway, welcome. I appreciate everybody joining tonight. As always, looking forward to it. Came off a kind of a big couple days last week. So this is kind of getting back to a little bit of some normalcy here on a Tuesday night. So next Tuesday, I will actually be out of town, so I won't be doing a live stream next Tuesday. Going to be with some family and stuff like that. So getting out of Dodge for a few days. So anyway, as you can see, there's a few bottles here. We're kind of getting into, there used to be, always that time kind of in fall where you ended up with a million different releases. And it just seems like now that September, October, there's just so many things that are releasing these days that just that fall calendar or fall release that we all kind of became accustomed to I don't want to say it doesn't apply anymore, but there's so much whiskey that is produced nowadays and some great stuff. Maybe some things that aren't so great, but anyway, I just started kind of this month just kind of accumulating a few things through travel or distilleries sending things or whatever it may be. So yeah, the past couple weeks I've been busy with just kind of recording some things. So I've got some stuff that's up here that's going to be coming pretty soon, review wise. So hopefully kind of looking forward to getting some of those things out as well. So yeah, some interesting things. I guess just a little recap. I've seen a few guys that were in here that were with us over I guess I don't want to say over the weekend, but the end of last week. Jason and I, as obviously part of the Mash and Journey Whiskey Club, were down in Missouri and in Iowa. So that was a heck of a couple days. So a lot of driving, a lot of drinking, a lot of driving again. So it was a heck of a couple days, but we started our day off. Let's see, what did I do? I left here probably on a Wednesday to Iowa, grabbed Jason. We took off from there back to Missouri. That following day, Thursday last week, we met up with a bunch of great people and did our single barrel pick of the soft red wheat from Holladay or Ben Holladay Distillery. Which I'll tell you what, if you've never been there, there's not a lot around it. I'll say that. However, when you get there, the people there are great. The grounds are beautiful. They treat you really well, and they have incredible whiskey. And we had a really nice opportunity to try some great things. So this year they were releasing only the soft red wheat. They didn't have just the regular standard rye bourbons this year. So we were only able to get one barrel of the soft red wheat, but absolutely fantastic. We kind of, put the whiskeys that we tasted. I think it was maybe 5 or 6, I believe. Might have been 5. And we did get an opportunity to try a couple of different whiskeys that were coming now from a different rick house, which was kind of cool. So they did have some different profiles to them. I mean, nothing that's super crazy or anything along those lines, but absolutely fantastic. And it just was it was just fun to kind of go through, taste through some of those things. I still think they're a super underrated distillery. I wouldn't even really call them or think of them as a craft distillery really anymore with some of the ages that they're kind of getting up to. So, anyway, we started out there on Thursday, followed that up with some great lunch, and then we were back in the car again, back up to Cedar Rapids and Cedar Ridge Distillery for the following day. And there again, you've got a much smaller distillery, but still still, I mean, they're still very like kind of family oriented. So when you're there, they treat you like that. Again, we were able to try some absolutely incredible whiskey. There you're going into kind of their, I guess I'll call it Rick House, but this was more of a kind of a storage facility for the most part, where they're housing some of the barrels. Nothing remotely like Ben Holladay. I mean, it's a much smaller operation, but anyway, we went into kind of like a almost really like a large pole barn, if we're being honest. So we got to taste through a bunch of different, lots of different bourbons, a couple ryes. I think we tried one double oak, and then we got into a lot of the quintessential American single malts that they do, which is something that Murphy Quint, their head distiller, is super passionate about. And we did land on one of those that has some finishes and stuff behind it. We did land on a bourbon as well, which was basically a VDN and a sherry finish that it had, and that thing was like just crazy good. Probably one of their older bourbons. So it was a lot of stuff. So I know JG was there. This is again at Cedar Ridge. Roger Reese was there. A bunch of other. I was just looking to see if anybody else that was in the chat was in here. And I'll go back. I'll say hi to a lot of you guys here in just a second. But wanted to cover a little bit of what was going on last week. So yeah, that was interesting. And again, I mean, admittedly, single malt Scotch, they're not always my thing. But the one thing I'll say is that I've probably come to appreciate is the difference and nuance of a really, really good whiskey. I can kind of like with single malts, when you get into some that have those finishes, like the quintessential. I mean, that thing was just, I mean, it was just a complex whiskey. And when you just have a chance to sit down with something like that, I think for any real whiskey, enthusiast, they're going to probably appreciate that. Will it maybe be your favorite? Maybe not that. And maybe it could be, but what that whiskey had to offer was just kind of crazy. So it was kind of a fantastic day. So once we were done there, back in the car and home we went. So Jason back to, basically the Columbus area, me back to just outside Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So it was a great couple days. We got a chance to meet again some fantastic people, got to see some great people at the distilleries and stuff again. And yeah, just a great couple days. And I'm glad we were able to kind of put a couple of those, I guess, those kind of days together to get some really, really good whiskey. So those are kind of the exciting things, when you can kind of mix in a couple of really, really great, just days and kind of hanging out with people and all that. So, all right, let me go back to the top here and we'll say hi to a few people. Johnny and Top Dog, and as you guys will see, so this kind of came today. So you can see, I mean, incredible label on that one, sticker that they put on the pick. I think they did that with Story Time, I believe is what that was. So, but I'll be cracking that one tonight. We'll get into a few of the things here. A lot of stuff is kind of showing up recently. So anyway, so thanks, John. Appreciate you and Renee. Mr. Roger Reese. So Roger was there and in Iowa. Sugar Kitty. What else we got here? Joey B. Good to see you, Joey. Cheers, buddy. Mr. Brandon Warman. Good to see you, Brandon. What else we got here? JG was there. He was in Iowa, so got to hang out with him for a little while. I think it was just a great day. Great food. I mean, really, I mean, what they do at Cedar Ridge, fantastic food, great pizzas, apps, all that kind of stuff. So if you're at all close to Cedar Rapids or within, your own driving distance, go. It's a great place to go and just kind of check things out. So Mr. Paulie P, good to see you. SVP. Let's see. Mr. Papa, how do you doing? Mr. GT Mustang, good to see you, buddy. What else we got here? Yeah, I'm just kind of catching up on some of the chat. So it was the retirement home. So it was nice of them to drop me off there. That was really really nice of them. So Benny, how's it going, buddy? Hopefully things are going as well as they possibly can on your area. So good to see you, bud. Um, all right, Roy R is walking now, so we are away from cocktails and all the other good stuff. Good to see you, Roy. I think I already said hi to Joey, but we'll say hi again. Tom, the bourbon jerk, good to see you, brother. Mr. Hinson down there in sunny Florida. I'll be heading your way pretty soon. I don't think I'm going to be close to you. I'm going to be further south. But Mr. David Smith, good to see you, buddy. Truman, good to see you too. What else we got here? Yeah, Paul, we only got a chance to try one of the double oaks, and it wasn't kind of hitting for us. They didn't have a lot of them. We tried it, but wasn't something that we thought was at that point was good enough for the club. So we passed on that. So yeah, Cedar Ridge Quintessential is fire. This is even beyond that. We did get a chance to try some right out of the cask that they were kind of basically vatting. That was part of their Solera system, and just that regular Quintessential, I think, is something that they were talking about releasing that at cask strength. I know they had some other different things going on, but I thought that they had released like the Quintessential at cask strength, but maybe not. It didn't sound like when Murphy was talking about that they really hadn't released that as a bottling. That was my kind of understanding of that. So I remember the Quints that, yeah, they're pretty darn incredible. We had a good chance to try a lot of different things. So yeah, I don't know about that. Sometimes I wish I had one of those things. So what's up, brother? Good to see you. Connoisseur Cigar, good to see you, Eric. The Bourbon Engineer, good to see you. Happy 80th birthday. Oh boy. Foolproof Hunter, good to see you, buddy. Glad you could stop by tonight. TCT, Chris, good to see you, brother. Had a chance to be in Indianapolis last week and check out the Rural Inn and pick up some Circle City picks. Yeah, they're doing some pretty interesting things there as well. No doubt about that. So Miracle Martinez, welcome. Cheers to you as well. Mr. Randall Erickson, good to see you, Randall. Dano, good to see you, brother. It's been a little while. I'm sure you're busy, but hey, Scotty, will this be a full barrel, a half barrel, the Quintessential? We're still trying to figure that out right now. We're going to talk to Jay. It is a big barrel, so we'll see what the split on that is. Again, rye can be a little bit difficult with the club. Obviously, American single malts, things like that, but we'll see. We'll try to maybe get a little gauge on interest from that standpoint, but. Overall, I mean, it is an absolutely incredible, rich. It's hard to describe. It's just a whiskey that you've got to try, and I mean, you just kind of get like lost in the thing a little bit. It's just so different than what oftentimes a lot of us are used to trying or drinking. Even when you're talking about Scotch and all that. I mean, this is just like way beyond that with the flavors that this thing had. And just the one thing I focus on a lot with whiskeys in general is the balance of things. When you have something, whether it's a finish or a single finish or multiple, when you don't have the whiskey that ultimately gets lost amongst the finishes, and you never really felt that with this Quintessential that we had. It just had really, really great balance. So, and I know, I mean, JG can speak from that, and it's one of those things. It just it will be a full barrel. Okay, so usually I'm the last to know anything that's going on. So I don't get told anything. So what else? So I mean, it was it just an absolutely incredible whiskey. So I'm looking forward to getting that thing out, or we're looking forward to getting that out and seeing, really how you guys really enjoy that stuff. So Um, Leonard Osteen, good to see you. Thanks for popping in. Let's see. Roger said picked up a quintessential wine club. That was one of their, I think, their like gift shop offerings. Maybe it's something that goes outside of that, but they do call it the wine club at Cedar Ridge, and it's bottled at cask strength, 118 proof. It's phenomenal, but our pick is 10 times better. Yeah, I mean, probably a little bit biased, but I think with what we got, I mean, that thing was incredible. So, all right, let's stop blabbing away and let's see what we've got. So, as you guys can see in front of you, I've got a few things that maybe some are aware of, maybe some of you guys are not aware of some of these things, but a couple that I just tried recently, did some reviews, so we'll kind of go over a few of those things, but won't spoil all of that. But I'm going to start with probably one of the lower proof ones, and again, so I don't know if Tom's in here or not or whatever, but this is from that Limestone Heritage Distilling, and I'll tell you what, Tom is maybe one of the biggest hustlers out there these days in the whiskey world. He sent these to me and a few other people. So this is going to be just something that's light. I don't have really any details on this one, but what I do know is on here, it does show that it's a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, 92 proof and 6 years old. It does show as an age statement, so I don't know what the other blends and on all of that are, but it shows that it's Bloodlines Vintage, I think is what that says. So that must be one of their lines. But anyway, this was what was sent. So we'll kind of get into this. And again, I think for what they've got going on, their transparency, I think their willingness to be involved with the community is something that's huge. I mean, more people should probably do it, I think, more often, especially as either brand ambassadors or, owners of some of these smaller brands. It's a great way to connect to the community and really allow for people to try some of your whiskey. So we'll kind of get into this. I mean, I'm not expecting it to be, a mind blower or anything like that, especially at 92 proof. And I don't know what the cost is. If anybody is familiar with this and knows the cost, I'd be interested. But cheers, everyone. I appreciate everybody joining tonight. So let's give this a little nose and we'll kind of dive into it. Kind of a little, almost a little, what is that? It's something very sweet. Almost like a fresh, like a stewed fruit. A lot of like an orangesicle, like a lot of that orange and kind of like a vanilla that's on this. Little caramely, not hit with a bunch of spice, but that kind of orange vanilla is kind of jumping out a little bit. All right, let's give this one a try. Cheers. So up front, a nice little kind of punch of spice, kind of goes away fairly quickly. But the one thing it does still have that's very consistent from the nose to the palate is that kind of orangesicle, that orange and like vanilla cream. Actually, the spice is probably more than I thought it was, but pretty decent so far. I think the one thing that's going to allow that to hold up a little bit better, and again, oftentimes a lot of us aren't sipping on 92 proof, but for something like this, I think it has its place for really when you're, maybe just in the mood for a little bit of bourbon without, wanting or needing the big proof or anything like that. If this has something that you appreciate, then it can be, a nice little just kind of evening nightcap type of thing. It's not going to, destroy you with proof and all of that. But, overall, I think it's a decent little whiskey. I'd probably want to know what the price is, but oh man, is it John's birthday? Happy birthday, Johnny. I appreciate that. Top dog. Happy birthday, buddy. My wife's is tomorrow, so you guys aren't too far apart. So I don't know if she's watching or not, but happy early birthday. I'm sure we'll be doing some celebrating. I got a good little meal kind of planned for tomorrow night. So she already knows that. No surprise. But um yeah, I would agree. So Tom certainly has a sense for marketing, I'm assuming sense for marketing, and hit it out of the ballpark with all the samples he sent out. Yeah, I would agree. And again, I think it's important. I think it's important really no matter what your business is to make connections and do all these things and get people involved and be involved. That's how you build successful brands for the most part. So, and I think what Tom is doing with the brand is fantastic. So anyway, there we go. Let me set this one aside. Little limestone farm there. So let's see. What do we have that's close to that proof? All right. So here's something kind of interesting. This one's kind of hiding in the background. Just actually showed up today at the door, and I didn't really. I kind of forgot that they were even going to be sending any of this stuff, and I really wasn't sure what it was. It's been a brand that's been, I guess I'll say, off my radar for quite some time. So, and this one is the Pendleton 10-year, but they've got it. Let's see, what do they have this thing at? It's called the 1910 Pendleton Straight Bourbon Whiskey. They have American bourbon whiskey opposed to non-American bourbon whiskey, I guess, which I guess you don't really need to put on there because bourbon can only be made in the in the United States, or America as we refer to it as well. But anyway, it is the American bourbon whiskey Pendleton straight bourbon and aged 10 years. It is coming in at a whopping 90 proof. So it is it's kind of a different one. So JG's, yeah, well, he didn't even know where he was sending you. I'm sure Marty has no idea where he was sending anybody. So anyway, so I figured this would be, hey Stacy, how you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for jumping in. So let's crack this one open, and I've got a few glasses with me. Let's bring this one over here. I got a million different things going on. Let's see. There we go. I was looking for the little tab. So this will be obviously a neck pour, but again, at 90 proof, you don't really know. You're not really expecting it to be, again, a mind blower. But I think what they've done is, and again, I'd love to know the cost. It didn't come with any specs or anything like that. But let's pour a little in, just kind of see what this one has going. I'll let that sit there for just a second, and I'll give you some of the details on this. So let's see. On the back says bottled by Hood River Distilling in Hood River, Oregon, and distilled in Indiana. I thought Pendleton was a brand out of Iowa. Am I like missing this? Am I missing something? I thought it was a brand out of Iowa, but maybe not. Maybe it is out of Oregon. But anyway, it appears to be 10-year MGP distilled in Indiana, and I'm assuming that's what that would be. So I think the bottle, as you guys can see, is pretty cool, like a kind of a different design on the bottom half of the bottle. I think they've got that going for it. It's kind of simple branding. It does say Pendleton, and then kind of in the gold, it just says straight bourbon, aged 10 years. So I like that it's at least aged 10 years. So that's kind of cool. So, all right, it is Oregon. Okay, I don't know why I was thinking Iowa for some reason, but that's what it was. Templeton, not Pendleton. Okay, that's why. I don't even know if I've ever had anything from Pendleton. Then that's kind of all right. I was the whole time when I was reading Pendleton, I was thinking of Templeton. Yeah, thanks, Travis. I appreciate that. So I don't know why I was thinking that, but that was what was in my mind. So, but I like the bottle design. I think kind of stands out. It's kind of a nice bottle. It's kind of, I don't know what that pattern is. Some kind of like almost like European or something like that. I don't know what exactly that is, but anyway. Terry, I know Terry Pendleton, so we're going back. Now we're going back to my days in baseball. So yes, I remember Terry Pendleton. So Whiskey Dick, good to see you, buddy. Hopefully everything is going well for you. Um, no, we're not getting into any solidarity. That's for sure. Well, if we stick to some of these 90 proofers, we'll be okay. G. Let's see. Nope, you didn't miss it. So we're coming. This actually just came the other day and just kind of started taking a look at what this thing was. We'll get into that in a little bit. It's pretty darn interesting. But anyway, so here we go. We're gonna try some of the Pendleton 10-year out of Hood River, Oregon. So when I saw that, I was kind of Terry Pendleton was 1903. I don't know about that. Hmm. All right. Kind of very, I'll say, I don't want to say citrus, but there's a lot of like kind of a green apple kind of note on that. Little spice to it. Very kind of tried and true for the most part. Um, yeah, a lot of little bit of baking spice, maybe more of a maybe really more of like a cinnamon note. So far, the nose actually for it only being 90 proof, I think the age that they're blending with is really kind of coming out on this one. So, hmm, there's almost a kind of a confectionery note to it with it being pretty sweet. Hmm. Wow, there's something else that's there that's um I'm trying to figure out what that is. It's a pretty nice nose. Like it's sweet, but there's nothing like off-putting or whatever. So so far I'm kind of liking the nose. I mean, just for a nice little 90 proofer. So did I miss something? I don't know. This isn't no, it's not Canadian because it says that that it was distilled in Indiana. So anyway, that's that. Maybe I missed something, but good to see you, Mary. Thanks for jumping in. So, all right, let's give this thing a try and see what the Pendleton 10-year bourbon has to offer. Cheers, everyone. Mm, definitely more of an oak presence that's there. Nice spice. I don't know if, to be honest, I mean, I think with the spice and oak, again, a little bit more. God, what is that? There's something there that's very different. It's like a sweet, it's like some kind of sweet candy, and I'm trying to like put my finger on what that is. Man, I don't know if it's like a cotton candy or something. There's that confectionery type of sweetness that's there. Hmm. Nice oak on it. I think it's Hood River. Yeah, Hood River, Oregon, Richie. That's what they've got on here. So bottled by Hood River Distilling, which obviously I'm assuming is the distillery that owns Pendleton. And maybe that's just the bottling, like the name of their bourbon, but the distillery or whatever it may be appears to be, or at least that's who bottled it anyway. Hood River, Oregon, distilled in Indiana. So Pendleton 10-year straight bourbon whiskey, 49.99. Okay, all right, for a 10-year 90 proofer. I mean, in today's day and age, I guess what do you expect? This is probably in line with where a lot of other things. I get the argument people are going to make that you can buy all these other, big huge, heritage brands for much less. We get it. We get that. But it's one of those things with smaller distilleries or smaller companies, they don't have the luxury of being able to do all that stuff. So what's up, Ryan? Good to see you. Copper Wolf, good to see you, buddy. Mr. Jenkins, good to see you as well. Yeah, so far, I mean, I think it's kind of I mean, it's a nice little nose. I mean, I think, for 90 proof, $50. Again, maybe it's not all for us, but I think it is. I think it's something that if that's kind of your wheelhouse and you appreciate something that's like a 90 proofer, I think this has a nice amount of oak to it with, again, a little bit of that kind of cotton candy type sweetness, a little bit of that, orange and oak vanilla kind of combo. Yeah, I mean, I think this is probably where them blending with older barrels is going to allow this to feel a little bit more, give it a little bit more. There's a little bit more substance behind it for a 90 proofer. It's not just like straight on sweetness like you might get from like a Buffalo Trace or something. So, I think for $50, it's not a bad little bourbon. So I think they've done a nice job. And if they're sitting on or working with 10-year-old barrels, that's pretty nice. These are the kind of places that for me kind of pique my interest, especially for I guess two purposes or two reasons is, from a personal standpoint of, just having an opportunity to try some of these different things like this, but also from a single barrel standpoint is, what are they kind of sitting on? Again, some MGP things along those lines, but you never know what some of these small, brands can have like sitting around. So I appreciate them. I'll say for releasing even a 10-year-old bourbon, even at 90 proof, for $50, I think it kind of falls right in line with with where this probably should be. It's not going to be any less because of, the age and all of that. Would we want it? Yeah, I think everybody would like it less expensive, but they can't price it like their Jim Beam or something like that. So I think overall, I think it's a nice, where did I put that? There it is. I think it's a nice little 90 proof bourbon. So thanks, man. I appreciate that very much. Says Penelope Cask Finish Series samples are in the hands of the big sellers. Meyer grocery stores in the Midwest already have their samples in hand. They posted about it this week. Oloroso Sherry. Oh, interesting. Yeah. I mean, and again, I think, with that, kind of transaction between MGP and Penelope, that's affording them the ability to do a lot of different things. So, but again, this is kind of where I guess, depending on when you bought into some of these things and what you bought and who you bought it from can really play into why and how you're able to charge some of these things. So it's kind of interesting to see a brand like this come out with, again, I think people love, age statements. And again, 10 years is great. Even again, at 90 proof, it allows for this to have a little bit more of a backbone to it because of the ages that are being blended in. If this is half that age, you wouldn't have that kind of oak that's there. So overall, I'm pleasantly surprised by the Pendleton straight bourbon whiskey, 10 years old, 1910. Does anybody know what the 1910 may represent with Pendleton? So I don't know if I'm missing anything or if anybody knows what that might be, but I'd be interested to know or what it says about the 1910. So, yeah, not a bad little whiskey. All right, let's set that one aside. So, was kind of digging that. Boy, that spice on it is actually pretty nice. I think it's probably one of the better 90 proof bourbons I've had in quite some time. Not that I have them a lot, but for a lot of people who can't even handle or are unable to handle proof on whiskey, I know as you kind of get older, the alcohol affects you a little bit more, but I'll say for a 90 proofer that gives you enough that it really kind of allows for not only sipping, but may do okay in cocktails as well. And at $50, it's not like, I'll say, cost prohibitive from that standpoint. You probably should just buy something less expensive if you're making cocktails or whatever. But again, $50 as a nice little sipper. I think that Pendleton is pretty solid. So yeah, it was a nice, it's a, I wouldn't say it's overly dark, Richie, but kind of in line, pretty decent. So yeah, I'm happy with that. So somebody said something before about what the 1910. All right, Paul, let me go back. It said something about a rodeo. Did I miss it? See how far back do I have to go about your rodeo comment? Proof down with glacier water. Okay, I don't know if that's a if that's a gimmicky thing or not, but I'm good with that. Yeah, or it could be we're not going to do solidarity tonight. So, Mike, my man, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. Appreciate it. Bird's Eye Bourbon. Check him out. He's a madman. What else we got here? All right, Paul. I don't know. I don't see the other comment. I probably missed it, but I don't know if the age can be like on that, Eric or Ryan. I don't know if that can be something that's trademarked or not. So 1910 was the first year of the Pendleton Roundup. Okay. All right. So now we're getting on. Now I see what Paul was talking about with all that stuff. So coming out with the whiskey knowledge. I love it. So let's see. All right. What do we got, Randall? Pendleton 1910 is a 12-year-old Canadian whiskey named for the inaugural year of the Pendleton Roundup. Pendleton 1910 is a 12-year. All right. So this clearly is not that. So maybe there must be something else that that goes with that, I guess. But so all right, here we go. All right, so Pendleton 1910 bourbon honors the inaugural years of the legendary Pendleton. Okay, all right, so we got it. We got a big like horse roundup or something like that. So all right, cool. You're doing on that one. So yeah, that's a crazy one there. That rye that we did from there is unlike any other ones. I think it's going to be a popular one this year. So let's see. What do we got here? So Scott, my bad. I totally mistook Pendleton. Yeah, same here. That's what I thought. The whole time I had Pendleton, I just thought I had a bottle of Templeton, for crying out loud. So Richie, you and I are in the same boat. So all right, what should we go with next? Let's do this. We'll go with something that's a little bit closer. Eventually I want to crack this one. This kind of is a special thing. So I know John's in here right now, but they got Beans on here, and we lost Brewer, whatever, a year and a half or so ago. And yeah, the little Boston Terriers always and always will have a place in my heart. That's for sure. So I told him when he sent me the label of that, I'm like, I need a bottle of that to always have on hand. And he kind of looks like Brewer a little bit. So it's nice to look at that, look at that picture. So that's why I've got that one out front and center. So reminds me of my little boy. So let's see what else we got here. I was waiting. JG must be gone. He must be doing something. So, oh yeah. Oh, better. Oh yeah. I thought I read that a little bit differently. Any better than the Russell's 10? You know what, Paul? I would say that probably would give that a run for its money. And I think maybe when I do the video, maybe I'll put it up against it and see. But I think with the Pendleton that it had going for it was it had a nice amount of spice that's there. So I'll kind of, that's a good one. I'm glad you suggested that or made a reference to that. I'm gonna do that probably when I do the video, because again, it's a 90 proofer, but again, that's still applicable to a lot of people in that range. There's a lot of people that don't want or can't handle the big proofs on things. So oh, this is Renee's doing. Okay, I'll be interested to kind of dive into this and see how it is. I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. So love the Jack Daniel's single barrel proof rise, that's for sure. So thanks to John and Renee for that. Appreciate that very much. Exactly. Pendleton, Templeton, potato. Exactly. So That's what she is. She's a fruity pebble. That was a good one, that's for sure. Um, Thanks, Richie. I appreciate that. And neither will I, obviously. So appreciate that. He made several appearances on the live streams, that's for sure. So all right, I'm figuring out what I'm stalling to figure out what the next one will be. So, yeah, let's talk about this. So, Tom mentioned, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. I wasn't overly familiar with it, and it's actually a distillery that I've never been to before. But this is a new riff product. And the interesting part with this, let me pour this. And here's what it says. So I don't know. Let me know in the comments below if anybody was, I guess, familiar with this one at all. So, but I was not familiar with this bottling, but I love the old school kind of look that it has to it. So it's a Silver Grove, which I think is basically a dead distillery from, God only knows when. But I love the simplistic kind of labeling with that. It's just kind of old school. The bottle's kind of an old school type of a bottle, very much like a E.H. Taylor or something like that. But anyway, so here's the deal with this. So it's Silver Grove, and again, this is produced by yeah, and I've got to give credit to Marty, Whiskey Knows. We were maybe a week or two ago, we were just kind of chatting after a live stream, and he had mentioned, had I ever heard or tried this Silver Oak, or excuse me, Silver Grove? I said, no, I've never heard of it. So I have some friends and to Tom and Aperba who got this. Thanks for grabbing this for me. They also do a rye, but they were sold out of the rye. So I just got one of the bottles, but anyway, under $60 or right around $60. But anyway, so here's the deal. So Silver Grove, produced by New Riff Distilling in Newport, Kentucky. It is barrel proof, non-chill filtered. And then on the back, what it is, let's see, mash bill, 65 corn, 30 rye, 5% malted barley. Absolutely love that mash bill. Love those high ryes like that. But what it says is, so in 2024, Silver Grove delves into how whiskey aged. The barrel proof bourbon is compromised of barrel age on the top two floors of our 5-story rick house, leading to powerful flavors and an elevated proof. So it is all coming directly from those top two floors of their rick. Now, again, I don't know how big their ricks are, but it's kind of interesting. And then it also says proceeds from this release will benefit the Silver Grove Community Foundation. So I'm assuming there must be a Silver Grove, Kentucky, I'm guessing, but I can't. Must be. I mean, it shows the community. So anyway, you can see, I mean, look at the color on this thing. I mean, that's pretty darn dark. The camera is picking it up. I mean, maybe it's slightly darker on the camera, but overall, I was pleasantly surprised. Let me pour this thing. And I would say if you're even close to that area or are able to get somebody to get you one of these, I would definitely do it. It was a big surprise to me as to just really how good this bottle was. Again, 4 years old, aged on the upper two floors, all barrel proof and at cask strength. And this one's coming in at 116.2 proof. So I mean, I love everything about like the label, the design, like just the simplicity of it is kind of what I really appreciate. So let me go back and see here if I missed anything. I don't think so, but has anyone ever not heard of this or never had it, or vice versa? If you've had it, let me know. I know Marty's had it, and I don't know how, I forget how he got kind of introduced to it, but man, it is a lot of like, it feels and smells like a double oak. There's a lot of that kind of like charred marshmallow, you know, kind of burnt caramels, brown sugars. It's very, very much like the nose of a double oak. Sweet a little bit so far on the nose, you know, I wouldn't say you're blown away by ethanol. Again, this is a really nice proof point, 116 point whatever proof, but really, really nice. So, hmm. Yeah, up until a couple weeks ago, Randall, I had never heard of it either. Had no idea they were doing it. So, I mean, to me, it's kind of a little bit of a hidden gem that New Riff is pumping out. So, no, it definitely wasn't that. It definitely wasn't the retirement home. That's for sure. So, but anyway, so I think what it has going for it is pretty darn fantastic. At $60, I believe again it's only available at the distillery. So yeah, Adam. So Adam was at the Ben Holladay pick. So yeah, we'll get into that one too. So that one's coming up here. We'll chat a little bit about that one here pretty soon as well. So, but throw that there, kind of a little teaser. But all right, nose wise again. Yeah, charred marshmallow, all of the graham cracker, brown sugars, even maybe some like a lighter molasses kind of note. It's very like dense. It's very rich. This is very much in line with a nose so far that I absolutely love on a bourbon. So, all right, let's give this one a try. Cheers, guys. Appreciate everybody joining tonight. Thanks. Yeah, nose and palate match like pretty darn spot on. I would say it's probably one of the better $60 bottles I've had in quite some time. And honestly, if you told me this thing was $100, I'd believe you. I think it has an awful lot going for it. Man, it is really good. I was surprised. I didn't know what to expect from it. When Marty said, had I ever tried it? I'm like, man, I never even heard of it before. But I'll tell you what, it is a sneaky, sneaky good bourbon. And I think for what this is, when you kind of factor in the downside to it is the availability. And again, maybe they want it to be like that. But for this, kind of in comparison to some of the other things I've had, like from New Riff, I mean, it might be the best thing I've ever had from them, to be honest. I mean, it is pretty darn good. So it's I mean, I think at $60, I think if you had two of these, I'd really like to get my hands on one of the ryes just to see what the ryes, if they're doing the same or similar things where they're aging the rye on the upper two floors. I'd love to see what maybe some of that heat and maybe the location of what those barrels are doing and how that kind of translates to the profile of it. So if anybody knows or has a chance to get, I'd like to try the same like year. This is the 2024. If anybody's able to or finds or comes across a 2024 rye, let me know. Just reach out to me or something. I'd be happy to pay you for it. So um Ryan, is it one of the, I think the 2024? If so, just reach out to me. Just shoot me an email. Let's see. Let me throw this up here real quick. Let's see. Where is that? There you go. Shoot me an email real quick, or you can send me something on in through Patreon or whatever you want. But email there. I'd be kind of interested to just at least try the rye, but it'd be something I think it'd be kind of a fun video to do or record. So I'll definitely plan on doing one of these. I've not looked to see if anyone's done one, and I don't want to. I want to, kind of develop my own, ideas and kind of tasting profile rather than be influenced by anything. But I appreciate it. 2025. Yeah. Yeah, I suppose 2025 hasn't been released yet. So smart ass. I'll keep you all posted. All right. Appreciate that. We're probably not going to do a showdown, Justin, but we'll kind of dive into some of these things. I've got some interesting ones too. So this might be a little longer live stream tonight than normal, but I wanted to kind of dive into a few of these and just kind of get an idea for what kind of some of these were, and if anybody had tried any of these and not. But I would highly recommend this. I don't know if anybody else agrees. I think Marty does, and maybe Ryan does. I like the rye much more. Wow, that's crazy. Much more, man. And this bourbon is like, it is really, really good. So if that's the case, I can't wait to try the rye. So my God, maybe that's why it was all sold out. But anyway, yeah, shoot me an email. We'll see if we can kind of hook up on something like that. So 859.9. All right. I don't know about that. So I don't think we're gonna make it. I don't think we're gonna make it. So yeah. Anyway, I would highly recommend it. To me, it feels very much in line with the profile of a double oak. It has all of those kind of characteristics, good oak that it has. Let me see what the finish was. I was blabbing away so much. I kind of lost track of that, but as Katie Turk says, it's thick in the mouth. Man, it has just a lot of double oak characteristics to it. Marshmallow, chocolate, oak, vanilla, a lot of rich characteristics. I think it's pretty velvety. Really, I'm going to say at least at minimum a medium. I think it's probably even longer. Spices is kind of there. Doesn't stick around as long as I would like, but overall, I think it's a home run of a bottle, especially for $60. I don't know what the production of these are. I would imagine they're probably producing a fair amount. Even with them being available at the distillery, it kind of seems like something that would come and go pretty quickly. So, yeah, if anybody runs across the JD14 that they're willing to part with, let me know. It'd probably be something else I would be totally interested in. It sounds like the availability of them is going to be pretty significant this time. So that will be kind of interesting to see. But yeah, if anyone knows, let me know. I'm not paying $700. That's crazy. That's just nonsense anyway. So don't pay $700 for it. Go find some other whiskey. Don't pay that. That's crazy. I don't care how good it is. But all right, Marty, what do you got? So, Hawk, I think the mouthfeel and viscosity shows to the storage at the top. Yeah, for sure. I think that's where a lot of that richness is coming from. That heat is really doing some wonders. I don't know if they're just using all of that for this, but man, if they are, I'd put if I was New Riff, man, I'd put this stuff in my own bottle. I wouldn't want to give that up, but maybe there's more to this than I even know, but it's really nice. Yeah, definitely keep your eyes open for retail. I think there's going to be a lot more. And I know Top Dog would probably have a better idea, but I thought I saw something where there was going to be what is it, 10, 12, and 14, I believe. They're either releasing or are releasing now, but it is, yeah, it sounded like there's going to be a pretty good amount of these. So we'll see. I don't know, but if anybody comes across one or whatever it may be, let me know. I'd love to at least chat about the that kind of transaction. So anyway, I'll say that is a win right there. So the Silver Grove straight bourbon whiskey, barrel proof, aged on the top two floors by New Riff Distilling. So I would highly recommend that bottle there. So man, you don't even want to like stop drinking it. It's so good. So and a ton of the 10. So maybe that's what it was. So that's a good bourbon right there. man, as much as Ryan was hyping up the rye, I'm kind of looking forward to really trying the rye whiskey. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about this. Man, we're already almost an hour in. I've barely even gone through half of these. Let's talk about this one. This has got some interesting stuff behind it as well. So I haven't cracked this one, but I'm going to right now with all of you. So here's, if a lot of you are familiar with the Ben Holladay and the Rickhouse proof, this is their soft red wheat. And this was one that we picked up at the distillery when we had a chance to try a couple of these different profiles. So rather than them pulling all of the barrels from basically the same rick that they've been doing it, this is, I don't know if it's the first, and if Adam's still in here, he can maybe remind me, but I'm going to say for right now until someone corrects me, I think this is the first time that they've blended together both of the rick houses. And as you guys can see, I don't know, that's probably going to be really hard to pick up. But anyway, there's the transparency. The one thing I love that Ben Holladay does is they show on that label that I just showed you the percentages of barrels from the particular rick house and the floor. So for instance, this now is blending two different rick houses, both B and C. And I think C is the one, if I'm not mistaken, is the smaller one. I could be flip-flopping these, but anyway, one of them is extremely small, and they really aren't doing much with it. This was more of a kind of a test, but we had a chance to try this after we were done selecting our barrel, and it's always crooked on there. They do that on purpose. So I believe. Anyway, so we had a chance to try this when we were doing our barrel pick last week, and it was just a very interesting profile from both Rick B and C, and we kind of got to chatting about, with Kyle, their head distiller, about blending those two profiles and how kind of interesting that could be. So this is still so new that he really hasn't even gotten so far into understanding the profile that it was either B or C, one of the two, how different that was to try to work with this. But anyway, so this was blends again of Rickhouse B and C, and the floors involved on this were going to be 3, 4, and 5. So it was 17% of 3-year-old barrels from Rick C, 47% of barrels from floor 4, and Rickhouse B as in boy, and the final one is going to be 36% of 5-year-old barrels from Rick C. So really kind of cool. It was a fun thing. I knew kind of trying this that we were going to be able to I was going to snag a bottle of this. I loved the profile of kind of just how rich and kind of involved it was. Again, this is going to be a little bit of a neck pour. So when we had it, that bottle that we had there was already kind of gone through. So it could be a little bit different. But as you can see, let me show you this side, probably a little easier. Color wise, beautiful color. So I guess if we were technically going to age state this thing, it would be, actually, I don't know. What would it be? Oh yeah, here it is. Aged 6 years in new charred oak barrel. So it is 6 years old minimum on that. So it could have a little bit different ages on those. Yeah, heck, it even says right there on the front label. So anyway, that's their soft red wheat, and I'm a huge fan of Ben Holladay and what it is that they do. So that's what yep, definitely Missouri whiskey. Good stuff. I'll tell you what, they've got some great people with that brand, and with Kyle being as kind of passionate as he is, it's you can see that brand is going to be something that really I think kind of continues to build and grow, and for all the right reasons. So you don't have to take bets or anything like that. There's probably a good chance with all the hands flying and stuff like that something's gonna go down. I'm surprised we're an hour in. We're all 59 minutes and 42 seconds in. I haven't broken anything or knocked anything over at this point. So, man, it is a rich nose. I mean, it is a lot of, oak. There's some sweetness, but it has this really nice, like almost like a cherry hubba bubba gum to it. Man, it's just a really inviting nose. It's blends of kind of like that the complexity that the oak offers kind of combined with the sweetness of another. And I think this was the difference that the two Ricks were providing. One was much more like elevated, one was heavier kind of notes. The other was offering more sweetness. So I think blending these two was really going to be something that was interesting. And we got to talking about it. That's when they busted this thing out and we got a chance to try what that was. And it was fantastic. So we'll see if it kind of matches anything like we had there. So cheers, everyone. Man, that's another really good bourbon right there. Man, the oak on it is so the oak is so like rich that it just offers the sweetness that's there to just be elevated. There are these two kind of components. The oak, which is not like over oaked. It's just a great oak that it has on it. But kind of combined with, again, I'll say a little bit more of that I dare I say toasted aspect. There is some nice spice to it, almost a little bit along the lines of a like an apple pie or something. And oftentimes I get a lot of that kind of profile with some of the holiday stuff. But it's interesting. It's an interesting balance of the two to have that heavier oak component balancing really well with the sweetness that's there, and you're getting the richness, that kind of complexity, everything that I look for in a bourbon. And again, with this being a soft red wheat, I think people fall into the category far too often that a wheated bourbon can't really have a lot to it other than just sweetness. Well, they're a great example of that kind of debunking that. I mean, this has a lot of spice, and I think you start to even get into some of those like leathers and tobaccos. But again, a little bit of that bubble gum, and dare I even say like a little bit of a grapiness that it has to it. It's a much more like interesting kind of profile that it has, and I love what that profile is that Holladay has. So I I got a buddy who's got all these like weird ass sayings that he says stuff like all the time, and I don't even know like I, I don't even know like where Marty comes from. I suppose this is the Tennessee coming out. I guess I have no idea. I don't know where some of these things even come from, but we'll go with that. Got to consider the source at times, so I'm definitely considering the source. So yeah, maybe the more of this stuff I drink, the straighter that label's going to get. Paul, what do you think? But anyway, I mean, I love I love everything about what they're doing, the transparency. There's nobody else that's doing anything like that, showing and telling where all the barrels are coming from. And I think it allows for people to truly understand what it is they like about their whiskey in particular, because when you start getting a certain percentage of barrels from a either a particular rick or floor, you can kind of dial in. So when you're looking for those bottles, you have a really good idea of what you're gonna get like flavor profile why is. But when you start blending these two, and again, one of them is something that they're really very, very new at, it offers up something very cool and unique. But I absolutely love it. I'm a huge fan of Holladay Distillery, Ben Holladay, and both of the rickhouse proofs, the soft red wheat and just the rye bourbon. Mm. Yeah, I'll say maybe even get a little bit of a like a cherry pipe tobacco or something along those lines. It's as this bottle opens, it's going to really continue to get really really nice. So, all right, let me running out of space for things. So, I want to just put these whatever. Let's just leave it like that. I don't want to get too complex. All right, so let's see. What should we talk about next? We want to talk about the Larceny A125, the new Green River Wheated Bourbon. Um, we got the new 13th Colony, which will be coming out in I think mid March. I think right in time for the tournament. We can talk about that one. It's a little well, obviously 113 proof. We'll talk about this here in a few minutes. This is the newest or new release from Bardstown Bourbon Company and something I'm looking forward to kind of getting into. So, yeah. So, all right, let's do that. So let's talk a little bit about the Larceny. Let me grab this, and then we'll kind of. Boy, I'm stuck with kind of getting into. I thought I was talking about a lot of weeders, but anyway. So Larceny A125. So let's see, what do we got here on this one? I forget. So obviously 125 proof. That was really all I had. I think also non-chill filter, all of that. So obviously, as you can see, little sample, it came from Heaven Hill themselves. So let's set this over here, put that there, so you guys get an idea of what I'm. Let's move that over to here. Paul, you might be getting close to winning that bet if I knock something over here pretty soon, but I'm gonna do my best not to. So. All right, so let's get into this one. Richie, so yeah, I mean, I would love to find something with the new Jack, either the 10, 12, or 14. I'd like to probably try. I mean, the 10's been good. I think when you start getting into the 12 and 14, obviously 14 I've never had. I think a lot of people haven't either until now, but the 10 and 12 have always been, I think, pretty successful. So I'd probably be interested in those. I guess kind of since it's more like present at this point. So oh boy. I mean, Larceny for me has always come across as a little bit more like grainy. It's a little hotter. I mean, 125 proof that it has. But again, a lot more of that almost like a strawberry pastry. That's kind of something that's very typical with them. Yeah, maybe a little bit of like a strawberry kind of like bubble gum or strawberry pastry. I almost think of like a Pop Tart, but it's always a nice nose. I mean, I think like weeders can be just very different, and they're just not all the same. Like they can be vastly different. If you're somebody who likes a heavier like wheat grain profile, I think Larceny kind of falls like right into that category for you. So it's a higher proof, hotter, like weeded bourbon. So if that again is your thing, then like Larceny has kind of like cornered the market from that standpoint. So yeah, it is just more of a wheat forward bourbon, but that the oak is really there. Great spice that it has on it. Again, kind of like going my point of a weeded bourbon can be just as spicy, but I don't. Again, it's just heavier, like weeded profile. Like if you like that profile that Larceny offers, I think again this will fall right in line. It feels just kind of middle of the road. Like if you enjoy that, you're gonna probably enjoy this one as well. So yeah, a lot more kind of strawberry type notes, things along those lines. Yeah, I did my review maybe a week or so ago, right after I got this thing, tried it a few times, and I think it's good. It'll probably be coming out tomorrow. I'm actually going to release I think the Green River weeded bourbon video, so look for that. Um, Dana, what do you got? Let's see. Is the Corbin Cash getting? Yeah, we just got some info back from Jay the other day. I think we're hoping to get that in the next maybe 2 to 3 weeks. I think they're just waiting. I think David Souza was coming back from vacation. They were going to do some other things, and then Jay was going to get it brought in. So shouldn't be much longer at this point now. So lot of things should be coming pretty soon. I know our backbone, our flux capacitor 2 should be in before too much longer as well. So yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be one of those things. I mean, it's just gonna be a hot one all the time. I mean, I think with Jack Daniels and what they've got going is pretty outstanding. So I mean, they keep their barrel strength, bourbon and rye. They keep those really affordable, and then they kind of, pump up the other, 10, 12, and 14 a little bit more. Not too bad. Like, I don't think it's crazy pricing at all. I think it's totally in line. But anyway, is the 10-year 100 proof? I don't remember if that's what it was. I've never had a bottle of them, but for some reason in my mind, I'm thinking that the 10-year was like a 100 proof bottle. I could be wrong, but I don't know why I was thinking that. But oh, 97. Okay. All right. Interesting. And then the 12 was that was higher. What is the 14 going to be? I haven't seen really any of the proofs on those. All right. The 10 years 97. What was the 12 and 14? I didn't think any of them. All right, so I'm assuming the 12 was 107, and what was the 14 coming in at? Was that cast strength? 14 is like a 126. Okay, all right. So I'm just, whether it's cast strength or not, I mean, that's definitely a higher proof. So yeah, I think all right, so 12 107, 14 barrel. All right, so barrel proof. All right, cool. So 12. All right, I like that. So and again, I think, for what they offer and their price points, I mean, they're pretty spot on. There's no arguing with what they've got going on there price wise. So I think that's all fantastic. So yeah, I would imagine. I mean, to get a 14-year-old Jack Daniels, I mean, that's going to be something pretty awesome. So, like I said, if somebody runs across one or two and you end up with an extra one and you want to dump it off, shoot me an email. I'd love to take that off your hands. I know that's a tall ask for that, but anyway, you gotta throw it out there. It's kind of shooting your shot, so to speak. So anyway, all right. So I think again, going back to the Larceny, I'll have the full review coming. But again, I think it's just going to fall right in line with a lot of what the Larceny barrel proofs have been, prior. I think if you've enjoyed the last couple, I think you're probably gonna enjoy that one as well. So couldn't agree with you more, Dano. I think they do a really, really good job with that. So all right, so let's talk a little bit about this one. I'll leave this one. Watch the video tomorrow. Shameless plug on my part, but this is the newest from Green River, and this is these are all going to be single barrels. They're only releasing 100 barrels this year. I don't know what the distribution, or if it's going to be like local stuff or just to clubs, or where that's all going to fall in. But I think they're only releasing 100 barrels of the weeded bourbon. This one's coming in at 118.6 proof. And I think you guys will be pleasantly surprised when or if you're able to get your hands on that. So look for that tomorrow. I'm going to drop that video probably tomorrow night sometime. But again, that's the newest from Green River and their single barrel cast strength weeded bourbon. So, for me, I think with what it is that Green River is doing and probably will continue to do is pretty darn special. So I think they're doing all the right things with just everything that they kind of continue to do, and their marketing, all of that being kind of in partnership or in ownership or same ownership with Bardstown Bourbon Company. It just all kind of falls in line. So I think they're doing a really, really incredible job. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about this one right now. So this is again, releasing in mid-March, the 13th Colony. And what this is this is their 113 proof straight bourbon whiskey finished with maple wood spirals. So they are actually adding maple wood spirals to this. So I've already done the review. I've got to edit some of that and have that out probably before too much longer. But I think for this, and I believe this is like $62. So again, great proof point. Ages on this, I thought this was like, I have a 5 to 6 year old bourbon, if I'm not mistaken. I forget. They did send me, I don't know if I have anything over there or not. I thought I had, I probably do, but oh yeah, here it is. Let's see. All right, so here we go. Yeah, aged between 5 and 6 years old, toasted maple wood spiral finish. Mash bill on this one, 70 corn, 21 rye, 9% malted barley. Pretty decent allocation, and it just kind of continues to grow from there. But MSRP $62.99. I think I don't think you can go wrong with what it is that 13th Colony does. So, yeah. So I'll give you guys a quick little synopsis of this one. I remember it being very, very kind of maple forward. A lot of brown sugars, all of those kinds of things. But yeah, 13th Colony, what Max and Danielle, the Darbys, what they're kind of doing with the Graham, their head distiller there. I think what 13th Colony is doing is pretty fantastic too. Good people behind the brand and all of that. They're as transparent as they possibly can for the most part. I know they, last year, the year before, kind of got some, in my opinion, some, unfair criticism of things, but overall, I think they do a really fantastic job of things. So look for this bottle in mid-March if you can find it. Again, $63 basically. I think it's just a great proof, decent ages that it has on it. But again, 5 to 6 year old whiskey coming from, Georgia, way down where they are in Americus, Georgia. It's hotter than all get out down there at times. So it ages much differently. So you're going to have a much richer kind of profile that it has. So yeah, it does. It has a lot of, again, it's maple wood spiral. It's not like maple syrup, but it's maple wood. But that spiral gives off, again, a little bit of that double oak aspect that it has. Really nice nose. One thing I'll say about 13th Colony I absolutely love is I always get this like pecan pie type of note. I don't eat it very often, but it's probably overall like my favorite pie, like period. I absolutely love what all of that has. It's rich, it's decadent, all of that. And it's a kind of a very common theme with them that I pick up. So it's kind of like almost their terroir of their kind of identifier. It's just something I always pick up and kind of know like right away. But it just has that beautiful like pecan pie note to it. Yeah, same thing on the palate. It just feels again like liquid chocolate pecan pie. It always feels like that with this, but I think the proof is spot on. I think the richness that it has to it, the oak that's there, all of it just kind of combined makes it very, very enjoyable. There's some sweetness that's there. So don't, and again, I think a lot of people enjoy sweet in bourbon. I think with sweet, you can give people a lot of that anyway. So it becomes something that a lot of people truly enjoy, I think, in most bourbon, whether they want to admit it or not. But even when we're selling bottles, things that seem to be sweet, like just fly. They're crazy. So, all right. So Adam was part of the pick we did a couple years ago. So that was so. I saw you put that before. I still feel this maple finish is a middle finger to the hater. maybe that's a little bit of what it was. Yeah, they're not doing any of that. They're not adding coloring or any of that kind of crazy stuff. And that all got kind of blown way out of proportion. And, some feelings got hurt and all that other stuff. That was ridiculous. Not to dive into any of that, but anyway, I think for what it is that 13 Colony is doing, if you're a fan of their stuff, this is going to fall right in line with all of that. So if you appreciate, again, like I said, I think you're going to really like this one. For 63 bucks. You'll probably absolutely love this. If you like sweet oak, chocolate pecan pie, this is your bottle. So Paul, am I making you nervous yet? Look at this thing. And plus I love the bottle. Like that, like kind of pirate ship bottle like that. You're not going to knock that thing over. I know people complain about it. It's a shelf destroyer, which it kind of is. But I love that. I love that bottle. So all right, what do we have left? All right, I'm gonna save this one for last, just because it's got a Boston Terrier on it, and John and Renee were nice enough to send me this bottle. Plus, I want to see what good job Renee did with the bottle. So, all right, let's talk about this guy right here. So I know it's hard with all that gold foil that it has on it. So let's talk a little bit about this. So this is going to be the newest release from Bardstown Bourbon Company, and apparently this is going to be for right now anyway, and I would assume it's probably going to stay this way. It's going to be a distillery only release, I believe, at both locations that they have. So I think they've got one in downtown Louisville as well, in addition to the one in Bardstown. So this is Bardstown Bourbon Company's Cathedral French Oak Barrel Finish, and here, I mean, this was crazy. So it's a blend of Kentucky straight bourbon whiskeys, finished for 14 months in 300-year-old French oak barrels. Now, I think on here, so they sent me this thing, this like little cathedral that they sent. It kind of looks like a cathedral. It's a little kind of box and packaging and all that. And Bardstown's great with all of that. But let's see, what does this say? I thought it was. The interesting part with this was it had something to do with, all right, here it was. The inaugural release is a tribute to history, artistry, and the enduring spirit of craftsmanship, rested in barrels made of 300-year-old French oak from the storied, I don't know what this is, Burset forest, something like that. This plot of ancient trees was harvested to restore the iconic Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris following the fire of 2019. The intricate, easy for me to say, grain and unparalleled density infuses the whiskey with a character as profound as the history they represent. The result is the spirit seamlessly blends tradition with innovation, honoring the cultural legacy of France while showcasing the best of American whiskey. So, I mean, even if these things are that old, like something like that is crazy. So, I mean, ridiculous. So I don't know. I didn't see anything on price or anything like that. But what did I say? Oh, I don't know. I missed something. So anyway, so I was kind of like, when I started reading some of this, and I just kind of got into this today a little bit. So I was really anxious or excited to kind of dive into this. I'm looking forward to doing the review. I'll probably sit down with this towards the end of the week and work on some kind of tasting notes. But let's kind of give you guys a little idea. It is dark, man. It is. I'll show you. You probably see it just on the camera. But anyway, look at the color on this thing. I mean, it is dark. I mean, 14 months, in French oak. I don't think there's anything else. Does it say if there's anything? The premium blends, straight bourbon, aged in exquisite 300-year-old French oak. Yeah, I mean, I think right now this is just aged in French oak. Let's see. And so on the back, obviously, they've got a lot of great, transparency. As always, it is going to be small batch. Looks like all Kentucky whiskeys this time. So we've got ages anywhere from, all right, I don't know if I should go through all this stuff with you or not, but there's 5 different components. I'll give it to you. What the heck? 45% Kentucky, 14-year, 75, 13, 12. Wait, what is that? They have one in there as a mash bill of 0. Maybe that's the Maybe that's the French oak or something. I don't know. That's interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that before. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Yeah, it's pretty small. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a mash bill of, well, it's all, I didn't see if this was, if it's blends of, I mean, why would you put a 0 on there? Yeah, the first one's 75, 13, and then 0, and then 12. And then, all right, whatever. And then the other one is, give us some notes. All right, so got to like speed this thing up. I get it. I get it. And then there's an 18-year-old, 11-year, 9-year, and 17-year. So some really nice ages in this thing. I mean, if this is French oak, I mean, this could turn into one of these massively chased bourbons from Bardstown. So let's dive into this thing. I wanted to give it a chance to kind of open up a little bit too. So, oh man, that is like a spice bomb. What is the proof on that thing? Only 110.1, but it is a spice monster. I don't know the MSRP. I didn't see anything. I didn't get anything that showed the MSRP, unless it was in the box that my wife threw away. But $99 for a 375. All right, so that's what this is, Jason. Thanks for putting that in there. So they must just be bottling these things in 375s, I'm guessing. But man, that is the amount of like fruit and spice that's on this. I'm gonna say it's like a lot of like almost this like chocolate cherry raisin. Man, the oak is fantastic on this thing. Man, chocolate notes. It's a very like complex nose. This is going to take more than just giving you guys a few of these notes right now, but I'll tell you what, if this thing is anything like the nose, it is going to be a monster. All right, let's dive into this thing. I'll see what this one is. I don't know. I kind of like the fact that it's 375. It gives you a little, maybe a better chance to not, have this thing be a $200 plus, bourbon, and maybe they spread the wealth a little bit more with something like this. Not many 300-year-old barrels floating around these days, but I'm sure they're going to utilize the heck out of those things. So, all right, let's dive into this. Man. Spicy. Again, very much like the or very much like the nose. Chocolate covered raisin, cherry, beautiful oak, beautiful spice. And very nice fruit layer to this thing. Chocolate notes. Yeah, it's going to take a lot more. I'm glad I opened this thing up because it definitely needs to be something just to sit down and take your time with, not have any other whiskeys or anything along those lines. I think this is going to be one, guys, that a lot of people are going to probably want to find themselves buying, even if it's only a 375, like this is. But I mean, you're talking about the vast majority of this blend is 14 and 18-year-old whiskeys, and only, what is that, 17.5% in total is 11, 9, and 17-year-old. So, basically 80 plus percent of this is 14 and 18-year-old whiskeys. Man, that thing it's really old, and it only aged, I don't want to say only, but 14 months in that old wood, those 300 plus year old, barrels. I think the oak is like 300 years old. The barrels aren't, but I mean, I guess they could be. I mean, once you cooper them, and put them all together, it's still the same age. But I mean, if we're talking about 300-year-old like French oak, I mean, that's crazy. I mean, I'm sure they were seasoned and all of that. So I know they had mentioned the stuff from 2019. So these things have probably been, seasoning for years and stuff now. So, I mean, this is a rich whiskey. That's for sure. Mm. It's got like an old oak profile. So yeah, thanks. All right, so here's the little cathedral thing that it came in. Just more of their like whiskey packaging. So open her on up. Look at that. So pretty fancy stuff right there. But I think the whole package is pretty cool. But the whiskey is, man, that thing is something to write home about right there. That is a monster. I think what the spice is really allowing this thing to feel a little bit proofier. The finish is fantastic on it. Again, only at 110.1 proof, but I think for something like this, that's a really nice proof point. So for those of you who can find this, I don't know when this was being released. I didn't see anything else that came in the box that showed when this is or if it's available now. But I'll say this, just based on what, for $100, I think this thing is a buy all day long. I mean, you're probably not going to find that many whiskeys that are that age, especially in some French oak barrels that have that kind of influence. So I think it's this week. Okay. Which is kind of cool. So if you guys, I believe it's only at the distillery Bardstown Bourbon Company and will be, I believe, released at their like satellite, like little like place that they've got in downtown Louisville. So if you guys can get there, I'll tell you what, that thing is crazy. I'm sure. I mean, this is just off a crap. I mean, I just opened this thing literally, as you guys saw, like a few minutes ago. So it's not even had a chance to get any air at all. So I'm looking forward to sitting down with this thing, maybe even over the weekend or towards the end of the week, and just kind of taking my time with this thing. Yeah, I think with the oak and all that, you start to get in combination of those fruit notes that like, I mean, it's like buttery, it's creamy, very rich, very decadent, very like everything. I know that's like sounds crazy, but man, leathers, tobacco notes. What I would say is if this was probably 5, maybe 6 proof points higher, it'd be interesting. But I'm sure, for whatever it was, this thing being at 110.1, I'm sure I mean, I don't think they've added any water, but I'll tell you what, it is definitely some of those like leathers and tobaccos that are there on this. It is just very, very rich, very decadent, very complex. Again, I think the spice factor of that, and again, this is probably some of what the French oak is giving you, that spice note that's there is working extremely well with that kind of fruit layer that it has to it. So it is really nice. Like, man, I think I just have to have one more pour, and then I'm going to have a little pour of the barrel proof, or the Jack Daniel's barrel proof rye. Yeah, that thing just needs a little bit more air. I just need to kind of sit down with that thing and take my time. It'd be a beautiful like cigar whiskey, even though it's like, it feels like something that you don't know if you really want to jeopardize the flavor of that whiskey with a cigar. Now, a lot of people might argue that, but it is, yeah, like, I don't think so. I don't taste any, there's no tears or anything like that in it, but it tastes some deliciousness. That's what it tastes like. So. Man, that is a really that's a really good whiskey right there. Man. mean, I don't know if you guys can see or not, but this thing has legs that are, I don't know if it's going to come through or not, but it is oily as heck, man. Man, that's a good whiskey. Anyway, I'll work on some notes and stuff at the end of the week. But yeah, beautiful color. I mean, if there is any regret in that thing, the regret in this tastes fantastic, but it is great. I mean, at 110.1 proof, great ages, French oak. I mean, it has everything going for it that I think a lot of people in the whiskey world are going to truly, truly enjoy. So, all right, John. Finally, after an hour and 35 minutes, let's crack this thing open and have a taste of the Jack Daniel's single barrel proof rye. Oh, there we go. All right. Got the little got beans on there. All right. Love me some Jack Daniel's. Let's get this off the side here. I'm gonna have that probably once we're done. But I mean, look at that. Kind of cool. It's like the house that Notre Dame built right there. So the cathedral, like the touchdown Jesus it needs on it. And we'd be all set. So sold 2, please. Oh my God, this thing is, I can smell it already. I haven't even poured this thing. So thanks, Richie. I appreciate that. All right. I'll probably have a little bit more of this one too. So, all right. Cheers, John, Renee. I appreciate you guys for sending me this. This is fantastic. So love that label. For anybody who hasn't seen it, there it is. That's John and Renee's beans right there. Little Boston Terrier, which he always kind of reminded me of Brewer a little bit. So love that. So, all right. Oh man, that like beautiful, like Andy's Candies mint. It's like a great like Girl Scout cookie without being overdone. Nice. Again, that oak that's there, chocolate notes. Man, it's like a fudginess that's there on this thing. Nice, beautiful spice. Nice, like rich, like earthiness that this thing has to it. Can set them there. This was the other ones that we did like a few years ago. So that was our other little Boston Terrier labels that we did. So those were on the, Jason was nice enough to put these things together. So this was like kind of a little tribute to our little guy. So anyway, just a little side note. So can't get enough Boston Terriers on bottles. That's for sure. So yeah, I can see why he was he's clearly the top dog. That's for sure. I'm sure he has no idea he even probably was a dog. I'm sure he was spoiled just like Brewer was. That's for sure. So, all right. Ooh. Well, there's like a rich, like espresso chocolate, an incredible spice that it has to it. Less of that Andy's Candies, it's there, but on a much like richer, heavier scale. So just a beautiful bottle. I mean, from a sipping standpoint, I'm sure Renee's probably going to flex with this thing in cocktails. Like that lady, I swear to God, she probably has the greatest cocktails like ever. Like every time you see her, she's got the fancy whiskey in a cocktail. I mean, probably like a old fashioned or Manhattan or something like that. But I'll tell you what, this is going to make a good one too. If you're willing to use that in cocktails and maybe celebrate beans every time you have it, that'd be a great little, not only a pour, but probably make for a fantastic cocktail. Yeah, I'm sure he was spoiled. I'm sure he was. So Richie, I don't think we could agree with you more. There, it's a little dog packed in, or it's a big dog mind packed in a little body. I'll tell you, it's an interesting breed. But yeah, I mean, as you can see, let's show you this side here. So again, color wise, I mean, yeah, it's hard to beat Jack Daniels. I mean, I think for the price point that these things come in at, the general availability. I mean, now you go back a few years ago. I don't know if that was maybe 2017 or maybe 18, whatever it was, when they first released the Jack Daniels barrel proof or single barrel proof rye, how people were just going crazy. Easy for me to say. People were just going crazy for this stuff. And it's just remained tried and true. And now you you see some of these things on or 2020. Okay, yeah, time flies. You see these things at just on shelves now at stores. I mean, obviously, I like or it's nice to be able to get some of the single barrels from people that you know or kind of appreciate their palate. But for a whiskey like this at whatever, I'm just gonna say at under $100, it's a steal. I mean, Jack Daniels is probably putting out some of the best whiskey overall that's on the market today. So, you know, if you can find these things, and oftentimes you'll see them in that $65 range. I mean, it's an incredible value in today's day and age. You can't beat these things at all. So just absolutely incredible. So, I mean, if this is all Renee's doing, I'll tell you what, John, you should probably just move out of the way, let her kind of take over and keep pumping out some good single barrels because she did a fantastic job. Man, it's a rich nose. Mm. Yeah, I love that, like kind of espresso fudgy note that's there, mint with that mixed with that little bit of a mint chocolate chip, maybe even ice cream, but it's not overly dominant. The oak is fantastic on this thing. Beautiful spice factor that it has to it. Super rich, super creamy, great mouthfeel. Yeah, what was the proof on this? I forgot to look. 128. My God. My God. There she is. She probably heard me talking about her. So that makes her. That's what I said to Job before, Renee. I'm like, I bet you she's probably gonna flex and make like cocktails with this thing or whatever it may be. So I mean, look at that. Look at that logo right there. That's a beautiful little face right there. So I know. I'm sure she'll be flexing in the next couple of days, sitting by the fire pit, just enjoying that view and a great cocktail and a little beans old fashioned. Can't go wrong with that. But thank you guys. I appreciate the bottle. That thing is fantastic. You did a good job. So I think it's honestly, I mean, it's probably one of the better ones I've had to be totally honest. I think the balance of it is really nice. Like it feels very drinkable. 128 proof. I mean, geez. I don't even know if it necessarily drinks like that. I mean, it is fantastic. All right, what did I miss here? Yeah, you did a good job. John called you out and said that this was all you're doing. So it's yeah, this is if this is your jam, then yeah, I can see why. It has I think again, like for me with a whiskey, balance is extremely important. You know, when you have all of the components and of something, you know, from your first sip, you know, to mid to back of palate fat, finish. I think that all just plays into it being a great whiskey. Like I don't even always necessarily focus on proof because oftentimes you get some crazy proofs that just are so over dominant that it starts to pull away from the balance of a whiskey. And for me, like doing notes, like tasting notes, I absolutely love that part of it because I usually will sit down with something, a whiskey 2 or 3 times before I even, do the review. It really won't be off of a fresh crack, generally speaking. So it allows for that thing to open up a little bit and just kind of at least allow that whiskey to kind of shine. So, it's kind of crazy. So. Um, yeah, and there are people that love the higher proofs. I am not one of those people that focus on that like whatsoever. And to be honest, I don't even care about that. Like whatever it is, I'm just looking for the best possible whiskey with the components that I feel anyway are what will allow that whiskey to shine from beginning to the last sip. So that's always my approach. And I don't want to know ages. I don't want to know proofs. I don't care about any of that. I'm just going to go through the same kind of process to dial that thing in each time. So thanks, Richie. I appreciate that very much. I know. I mean, Richie's been around for me. He's like one of the OGs, and I someone's got to get Richie on a live stream. I mean, he is like the mystery man. I don't even know if I believe Richie looks like his profile or anything like that until I see this man in front of me on the camera. I don't even know if I believe Richie is necessarily even real. So, but he's one of the OGs that's been around for an awful long time, and he's like the tried and true whiskey tuber supporter of what it is we all do. So we all appreciate that very much. So balance, complexity, and uniqueness are important. Sometimes too proofy is too hot. I couldn't agree more. Like when I always say the same thing. I am not a huge, oftentimes high proof whiskey drinker because I think you get so locked into the proof that it offsets all of what that whiskey probably should be. So when it starts to drink too hot, and that's what I'm focusing on, for me, that's not a whiskey for me. So this falls like right in line. I mean, dare I say, like it's one of the lower proof Jack Daniel's single barrel proof ryes, but I think it may lend itself to a better tasting profile if that makes any sense. So balance. It's how it is. So that's a tease right there. I'm gonna hold you to it. So man, that is fantastic. And I've been blabbing for an hour and 47 minutes, and there's still a lot of you. All right, some of you dropped off, but there's still a few of you in here. Hmm. All right. Anyway, I'll let you guys get back to your Tuesday night. Lot of other stuff, I'm sure. Big stuff going on Tuesday nights, but I'll say thank you guys for this. I appreciate this very much. This will be this will go somewhere back here. It'll be one of my shelf ones for sure. It's too special to not be able to look at that face all the time. That's for sure. So it's all I see like 3 hours. Oh, I feel bad, Travis. Man, I feel bad. Does it feel like it's been maybe 24 hours is maybe what it feels like. So, hey, I appreciate all you guys. I appreciate the support. I know a lot of you watch the videos and comment and all of that. And I appreciate it more than you know. So it's you guys what kind of keep me going with this. I still have a lot of fun doing it, and it's a fun job to have. That's for sure. So sometimes you always do these like the Tuesday night lives, and you kind of wonder what you're going to come up with. But for these, I have fun with this when you can kind of bust into a few bottles, chat with you guys a little bit, and just kind of give you some, off the cuff kind of tasting notes of things. And again, I'm a big proponent to sitting down and taking your time with these things to really pull out the notes and all that. This is just kind of a quick little kind of Cliff Note version for anybody who's older and understand what Cliff Notes are. I don't even know if they have Cliff Notes, to be honest. I'm sure it's all online, but I had the little stupid books back in the days. But anyway, I appreciate everybody. I appreciate all the support. You guys kind of tuning into all the live streams and just all the participation. It means an awful lot to me. So with that being said, I appreciate everybody again for tuning in tonight. Next Tuesday, I'll be gone. So there won't be a Tuesday as much as I just said. I love doing these. The wife and I are going to be heading out of town for a few days, starting next week, and we'll be back probably the following week. So with that, as always, if anybody has anything for me or questions, whatever it may be, you run across a couple bottles or something like that, I'm always potentially interested in that. So any feelers I can throw out there that somebody comes across, I appreciate it. So happy to help take some things off your hands if you have a reason to do so. But anyway, I appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. And yeah, so again, won't be back next Tuesday, but the week after that we'll be back at it with something. So we'll see if we can find some fun guests. If not, you'll get another 2 hours, or as Travis says, feel like 3 hours. Feel like 3 hours. We'll see how it all goes. But anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. Appreciate all the support and you guys tuning in. Have a great rest of your Tuesday evening. And like I say, it's about the journey and not the destination. Enjoy. Cheers, guys. Have a great rest of your week. We'll see you when we see you. Have a good night.